Welcome back, guys. First, I'd like to start by thanking everyone who subscribed. It's really amazing. This is a very new channel. I'm new to this YouTube thing, and honestly I'm very grateful and I'm very happy and I'm very thankful. If you've not subscribed, you can subscribe. Please subscribe. I'm going to try to be more regular with my uploads. I'm starting a new project. It's going to be very exciting. I promise to be uploading maybe once or twice a week, so subscribe for that. And now that we've covered that, let's talk about today we're going to be dealing with local storage. Local storage is a very powerful tool that actually detects what device your user is using. Let's say if they come to your website using Android, people have Android iPhones, they can be on a PC or on a MacBook, to detect what storage, the appropriate storage to use, and to store data on that device. So this is very powerful because local storage gives you up to about 5 MB of data on the user storage. We're going to be using it to store the shopping cart items, but you can also use it for very many applications. You can even use it for authentication, so that someone doesn't have to authenticate themselves every time they come in to your website. So let's just start by coding. I'm in services, shopping cart service. We had created this function for adding a product and had commented this out. So local storage saves, it's a key value type of storage, and uses a string. So the product here has to be a string. Remember, we are calling this this add product function from components products components.ts. So you have this add to cart, we're giving it the product, we're importing the shopping cart service, and on the shopping cart service we're giving it a key of shopping cart, and maybe the value will just be product for now. Won't be using the actual product we're getting. So let me save that. Let me try and see what happens when we click. So we're actually now calling the service. Let me move this down. Just a minute. I wanted to dock at the bottom. So let's look at we go to the application tab, local storage. It has not saved anything. Let me click. Oh, I had not clicked. So when you click, you're seeing the value is actually product. This is what we had saved here. So it's very simple. If we actually change it to just the product, what we are getting here, let me save that. It's refreshing. You see, even if you refresh, this value is still there. Even if I was to close this tab, if you go back to localhost, because it's actually saving it on localhost on this URL. So if your URL was probably amazon.com, amazon.com would be saving something on your browser. So let's save it now. It's now an object. Now the reason it's an object because we need to stringify it and make it into a string. Shopping cart likes saving things in type string, and to do that is very simple. You need to use JSON.stringify. So let's just do that. JSON stringify. I like to do it this way so that we can actually see what is being saved. So let's try and save it again, so you can see what has saved. Saved an object with the description, ID, the image, the price, the ratings, and the title. So let me go back to full website. and if you're adding, it's changing. So we have to find a way of actually pushing all the items into one big array of items in the shopping cart key. So to do that, first I'm going to code a way of getting what is in the shopping cart. You can call it get shopping cart items. Let's use ES6. And now to get what is the shopping cart, you can do local storage dot. It's so simple, get item, and just pass in the key. You can call this key whatever you want, as long as now when you know what you're getting is what you've set with the same key. So we can call it let's say let items, and then we want this to return JSON dot pass. I want to pass to make it back to an object. Okay. Now to push these things, because we need to store multiple things. At the moment we're only storing one item, and every time we click we are replacing the item that was stored in our local storage. Ideally you would use a server for this. Maybe all the items in your shopping cart will be pushed to a server, because we want to simplify this project, we're just going to be storing everything in local storage. So we need to create an array object for the shopping cart here. We're just going to be using this so that we can create an array to store all these items. And now the first thing, we're going to check whether there's actually anything in the shopping cart, so that if there's something in the shopping cart, we don't replace it, we actually just push to it. So instead of first setting this, let me delete this. We don't need to console log, we already know it's working. So I'm going to say let items is equals to this. So I'm getting what is in the shopping cart. So this will return a JSON object of the items in the shopping cart. Then I'm going to check if this returns anything. If it doesn't, this will return null. So if there is something, I want to do dot push the new product now. Then local storage dot set. Now I can set the item. Let me stringify it again. So it's actually these items. We are first getting what is in the shopping cart. We're getting it as JSON. We're checking whether it's null. If it's not null, we're pushing the new product. Then we are setting it again as a string. So let's save that and now try. We already have an item. We have one item. So it's not working. So it's not adding. Let me clear and see what happens when I add now. Okay, that's correct, because there already no items. Yes. Let's put the else and see what happens. if there are no items in shopping cart. So if there are no items in shopping cart, let's just push. Let me just copy paste this. It will take too much time. So what we're doing this to show, this is this. So we're taking this array, pushing the new product in it and setting it as. Do we need to do that? Okay, yeah, maybe. Let's see if it works first. Have I saved? It's not saved. Let me refresh this. Sometimes you need to refresh. So it has added the Xbox. It has added the PS4. It has added the Angular book. So it's actually working. So what we're actually doing, I think is very self-explanatory. We're first checking if there's an item, with the items, we push the new item and save it. If there are no items, we create an array. We use this array to push the first product and we set it into local storage. And just like that, we are saving items in the user's local storage. So the next thing we might do is actually create the page for the checkout page. I think we can do that next year. So we already created the checkout page here, but it just says checkout works. Let me look at how our app routing looks like. So we have checkout. Let me just copy that. Checkout. It just says checkout. Now if you look at the Amazon website or our clone here, the checkout page doesn't have this banner. So we may need to rearrange this a bit so that we remove the banner. The banner should not be on all pages. And to do that, let's go back to app.html. See, the banner is appearing on all pages. Let's cut that because it's above the router outlet, and add it to only the pages that we need it at. And those pages are home. Home page has a banner. I don't know if the login page should have. We'll check when we get there. So this is how checkout looks. We remove the banner and now we just have the checkout page. So the first thing we need to do is actually get now the items from this local storage and display them on the checkout page. And to do that is very simple. Let's come to checkout.ts. We are going to be importing the shopping cart service. That's it. And click tab to import. And now what we want the get. See, we had already created the get shopping cart items. So I want to get shopping cart. Let's just call it get shopping cart. Say this dot shopping cart dot get shopping cart items. Let's bring an arrow. What we need to do, just a minute. Let's create an array of, you can call it items, you can call it products, let's just call it items of type any. That's an array. And then say this dot items. Oh, I've seen what I've done. Sort of a shopping cart should be get shopping cart items, and this is items. So let's start first by, we want to create this page. Let me close all this. I want to create this page, and this page, when the actual items, let me show you how it looks like. Added 3 items. I want to create this component and a separate component that does the subtotal. So let's first start with where am I going to? So the checkout page, let's create the first div and give it a class of checkout. And now just a minute, let me check something. We'll have a div for, let me call it checkout left. Checkout left. This will be for this part, and a right one for this. Another div with class checkout right. When we have these two, we need to create another component that handles this part. So here we want a component that displays all the items in the shopping cart, and another component that just does the subtotal. Now we're going to learn something very important here, and because this will be child components of the checkout page, we want to learn how a child component can communicate back to the parent component, so that you can be able to do a delete function, and it updates everything. It updates here, it updates the shopping cart icon, it updates the subtotal. For that to happen, we need to communicate that we've deleted back to the whole website. Just a minute, let me, yeah, we're okay. I was looking at my charge, my laptop was almost going off anyway. So let's create those components. The first component will be ng generate. We can even just do ng generate. I'm going to bring these warnings. Maybe I should have done the first one. ng generate components. Let's call it checkout products and run that. It has already created, and we're going to create now the checkout subtotal. Will be another component. Now, if you notice something, in our example app, once this shopping cart is empty, the message changes. So if you delete this, it changes to your shopping basket is empty. So to achieve that, we need to add another service. Let me add another service in shopping cart that checks how big the shopping cart is, basically. So let me just copy paste the code. We're going to call it get shopping cart length. So I changed the naming a bit, so let me make get shopping cart items. So what it's doing is calling get shopping cart items, is handing it over to products. Let's just call it items so that everything just, because we've been using items. Then it's checking if items is actually a thing. So if this returns null, delete this. This is not important. So if there are items here, it gets a length. If it's null, it will return 0. And that's how we are getting this figure. In fact, we can just change this right now. The only thing we need to is to get that function and check where we actually, I think it was in the header. We can do this directly in the HTML. That's a powerful thing with Angular. The only thing you need to do is import this the service private shopping cart service. See, it's imported at the top. Actually here, because we're using it, it's going to throw an error, but let it throw an error so that we see. Let's look at where we're getting where we put the 3. It's here. So what we need to do is curly brackets. I think I called it shopping cart dot get cart length. Saying 3. There are actually 3 items in shopping cart. Let's see what happens when we add. Let's see if it's working. So when we add, it's actually updated to 4. So it's actually working without actually having, I thought would have to change this to, yeah, it's actually bringing it. The shopping cart private is only accessible within header component, meaning because it's private, it's only accessible through here. But if you want to access it through HTML, although it's already working, but this won't compile if you're trying to basically build it to publish it. It wouldn't build. But now the error should be gone. And it's still working. If I add, it's Saturday to 5. I need to do something to this header so we can see it better. I want it to, let me just do it. So header, let's go to CSS. You can see here the whole thing is under this class. Now what we need to do is just add the header, some CSS on top to make it a bit sticky. You'll see what will change. So given it position sticky, 0 z index of 100 and top 0. So with that, you see it's sticking. Now we can actually see when it's adding. Are you seeing that how fast that is? That is very, very fast. Okay, because everything is just working in the browser. There's no server code. It's not going to the server to check the items, how many items are in the shopping cart. Everything is stored locally, so it's pretty fast to add items to the shopping cart. So now that we are done with that, let's actually now go to the shopping cart, which is a checkout page, and continue working to, wanted to display here whether if there are no items in the shopping cart, it should say there are no items in the shopping cart. And to do that, let's go to the page. Where were we doing that? So where's the checkout page? Checkout page here. So the first thing we need to do is create a div and call it checkout. This is what will be showing when the checkout page is empty, when the shopping cart is empty. Your shopping basket is empty, you have no items in your basket. See? So that should work, but now we need to tell it when to do it, because we actually now have items in our shopping cart. We have 10 items. So to do that, we can use ng if in Angular tells Angular don't display this div. If you attach it to now this div, selling this div, don't display this if this is true. So it's very easy to achieve that. Let me check what we called shopping cart here, the service. I just call it shopping cart. So dot, what's the function? The function is get cart length. It's a function. So if this is equals to 0, you can actually do if statements like that in Angular. Now it should show this. Then if we check, it's not showing it because the length is actually 10. If we go and delete everything, and delete all the keys and refresh, showing your shopping cart is empty. So that works. The next thing to do is to now actually create to add the component that's going to be showing the items down here. To do that, let me just copy paste the code to save time. I'm going to create another div, and this one will be checking the opposite. So if shopping cart is not empty, you can show this. Then it's actually calling, this is this component, the checkout products. Let me just confirm whether we named them the same. So the selector is app checkouts products, and then come to checkout, HTML, it's the same. Then let me delete this. We'll discuss this later. So no errors. So what's happening is we are passing the first we are checking. Oh, there's an error. No, there's nothing like shopping dot get cut length. Just a minute. Oh, it's because it's private and supposed to be public, just like the other one. Because if you're using anything in HTML or in another place, you need to declare this public so that other files can have access to it. So what we're doing now is let's just first confirm if it's working. If we add products, it's showing checkout products works, and it's showing the shopping cart thing. Now what's the next step? The next step is, I was explaining this. So what we're doing, we're actually passing products, which is this, which I'm not sure whether I called it items. Let's just rename it to items. It's not an issue. So the checkout page is a parent component. The checkout products is a child. So we are passing, no, we should be in the HTML, sorry. We are passing the items to the checkout products keyword. Now, if we go to the component that's actually receiving this, which is this, we can call an input. Let's create an input and import it as a function. It's actually called, the input is called checkout products. It's of type any, and it's an array. So we are receiving an array from the parent, and when it launches we can actually check what we are receiving. So log.log and say products, this dot checkout products. See if we're getting anything. Let's check our console. It's saying products is undefined. Because maybe it has, why is that happening? Why is that happening? I have to think about, is it because maybe so let me see the spelling. Usually it's misspelling. Yeah, this is items. Where were we? We are here. MetaMask error thing. I don't know why it's saying undefined. Let me try. We're passing it. And what are we getting here? Oh, it's because we're not calling this. We're not actually calling this. We need to call this still get shop. We need to call this so that items actually gets. So when this launches, the items are fed and we're passing it to the child component. So you see we are getting two products now. Okay. So let's design the checkout products component. We want to design, let me highlight it. We want to design this component here. And to do that, I'm going to copy paste some code. So let me make this a bit smaller. Let's go to checkout products, the HTML file. Copy paste a lot of code here. I'm going to go through it. So we've created a class, a div with a class of checkout products. The first thing that we're showing is a price. This is this, which will transform to this, because the first thing that we are showing. So we have the price, then we have a div that now goes through all the products. That's why we're using ng for all the products and fetching like the attributes. Like now the first thing here is p.image, so it's p of checkout products and we're getting p.image. Just a minute, I'm seeing an error here. It's saying there's an error. Let's see what the error is. It's the same error that we've been getting. Also, it's saying shopping cart service does not exist on checkout. Let's just import the shopping cart service. I'm going to import it as public, private, shopping cart service. Yes, shopping cart service. Let me confirm whether it was imported. It was imported it at the top. Or get total does not exist. It's okay. We are going to sort all this out. So let's go back to the HTML. This HTML. So you're getting the product.image. If you look, maybe some things are not loading because we have errors in the code, but we're going to sort them. So we're getting the image, then we're getting we've added a class of checkout product.image, getting the title of the image. I don't know if I called it checkout products. I think that's what we called it. Yeah, checkout products. It's okay. Yeah, this image is for this thing, for the bestseller thing, and I've just gotten it from the internet. You can just copy paste. We have the word that says in stock, like here, in stock. Then there's a checkbox that you can mark that this is a gift, although it doesn't do anything. Then we have at the bottom we have the button that says remove. We have save for later, and we have compare with similar items. This is what I'm talking about. Then we have at the bottom or at the left, this is where we're getting the price, we're getting the subtotal, which we're using get cut length. Then we're putting items at the end. So this is for the subtotal with one item at 450 with the price. And now this is for the get total, which is the total for here. So we need to create this get total. Let's just go to the service, create a function get total. It doesn't take any. So to get the get total, we are doing, let's just do it. So say let items again is equals to this function is being used everywhere. This dot get shopping cart items, and then here we're going to do a bit of algorithm, just adding the total. So we're just going to return if there's items, we're checking if there's items, run a reduce on it as an accumulator, and each item want to add the accumulator class item dot price. So just a minute, let's bring in the same thing I've been doing all the time. I'm setting it as private, but it should be public. Now this is public. Where is this coming from? Checkout products component. It's public. Is the error gone? Let me save again. The error is still there. Let's look at it. Oh, I think no. I'm looking at the wrong thing. We're supposed to be here, and it's public. Public. So let's save again. See if we're still getting errors. We're not getting errors. Let's see whether we're actually fetching. So we're actually fetching this and the price, and we have two items. So we have the PlayStation and the Xbox, and they're actually loading, and it looks a bit funny, but we're going to add the CSS. Let me just add the CSS file. So let me put the CSS. It's a lot of CSS, but you can pause at any moment to just copy the CSS, just using the same methods I've been using. So we started with price, checkout products, display flex, checkout product image. Object fit, this is for that image, so that the image is about 190 width and a maximum height of 200 pixels. Let me save. Check out product info, check out product title. So you guys can pause at any moment to copy all this, or you can look at the, I think I put a link to the GitHub. You can copy all this. I hope I'm not moving too fast. Saying that this would take so much time to write. Let's see if it works. Looks like it works. So we need to add the right div is not showing. We need to add it here and make this flex so that it doesn't come to the bottom. So for the subtitle, so the next thing we need to do, let's do that pretty quick. We need to go back to the parent component, which was the checkout page here. So if you write here, you see it's appearing below. It want it here, so we're going to add some CSS. So let me copy the CSS real quick. The CSS for the checkout page is here. So I'm telling it the display is flex with a width of 100. So it has brought this at top here so that its display is flex. I'm just going to add some other CSS to make it more. Here I'm going to give this a flex of 1 so it goes as far as it can. So we're going to give the left one a flex of 1 so it goes as far as it can. So it's really pushing this to as far as it can. Once we add items here, they're going to it's going to balance it out. So we created another component for the subtotal. This is the subtotal. Let me see its selector. So it's always up select up checkout. So let's go to the checkout page and add it. So instead of this, let's close it. Then I'll work on the subtotal. Here it is. So check out subtotal HTML. Let's create a div. To do all this again, div dot. Give it a class of subtotal. Total. And then I'm going to do that thing where I'm checking ng if. So you're going to show this if the cut length is shopping cut it was get cut length. Oh, that's how we call the function. Is greater than 0. So we'll only show if the shopping cart is not empty. Let me just confirm what we call this. We just called it get cut length. We need to better have like a naming convention. Naming convention is very poor, so we're checking, we are at subtotal. Is greater than 0, then can I have a p class and say subtotal total is, let's put brackets, because we are designing this area, we are designing this. You see there are brackets, then you're getting the number of items in the shopping cart and the price and the total price. So we're doing shopping cart dot get cart length. I think I'd copy it. That's the length. Then we're writing items. No, the items is items. I'm going to put a strong tag. We're going to do the $, and now the actual total, which we're using shopping cart dot get. I keep on forgetting what I've named my get total. Is just get total. So I'll bring this here so that you guys can see. Then I'm just going to copy paste in the rest of the items so that we don't take too much time. Is there supposed to be a closing div? We have closed and a button. Okay. So let me import this, and this time I remember it's public. Shopping cart. So let's see where it works. So it's actually doing the total, is getting $938. We just need to add the CSS to make it look a bit better. Let me get the CSS file. Subtotal CSS, it shouldn't be much. Subtotal CSS is here. So the subtotal is for the whole thing, for the whole like component. This. So let's go through it. We've given it a display of flex. Direction is color. We've given it a width, a height, padding all around, the background color, the border radius, and the margin to give it like this is like the border, the color, the margin, you know. Then we've given a subtotal paragraph of the font size and the line height. Then we've given the gift a display of flex and direction of row, so that it appears like that. That's the row direction and the font size. We have the subtotal gift. We're targeting the paragraph inside it. We're giving it, you know, a font size, and even the input, we're giving it margins to the left and the right. This is for this small box here. And the button, we're giving it a background color, a border radius, the border color, and the color inside it's black. So now the checkout page looks very nice. We should now work on how to delete item. So let's create the delete function. And for that we need to go back to checkout products. We created a button here. And the function is called remove item. For now, let's just console log item remove. If we go to our app and check console, if we delete, saying item removed. Now we need to go to our shopping cart and actually implement remove from shopping cart. So we can call it remove item also. You actually pass an an item and removes it. So to do that, we are still going to use the same shopping cart item. We've used this function so many times. So let items is equals to this dot so we're getting all the items in the shopping cart. Then we need to get the index of the item that was the person selected to remove, or your customer selected to remove. So we're going const index should be now items dot find index. We're finding the index where, because this items is an array of items of item, so we are taking that and checking where the item ID is equals to the P, what we're getting here, ID. So again, what we are doing is comparing the ID of the item that someone has selected. Let's say it's a Xbox this, because we are passing the whole thing, we actually have the ID. If you look at products, there's an ID associated to each product. So we are comparing that ID and the ID that is in the shopping cart that we are getting from the local storage. Then we check if, because if they don't match, the ID will be -0. So we're checking if index is greater than or equal to 0, because it can be the first index, it can be on the first index, it can be index 0. So we're checking if index is greater than 0, we are splicing it, items dot splice. We are taking the index that we've gotten and we're removing one item. Then we are returning local storage dot set items. Again, it's shopping cart. That's a key. json.stringify the new items. So we need to call this now. So we've called it remove item, and if we go back to checkout products, can remove this now. So this draw shopping cart service dot remove item and pass p. P is what we're actually getting. So let's see if that actually works. I delete, refresh, cancel it so that we see the errors. So nothing is working. Let me refresh. Look at application. We're actually deleting anything. It doesn't seem like we're actually deleting anything. So we might have to emit. Not very sure. Let me just confirm something. Let's see if we're actually getting this console.log calling remover with p. So it's actually calling it, but it's not removing anything. It's not changing the state of. Let me just look at my code for a minute. So we're getting items. Let's just console log everything. And I'm suspecting it's here. Console.log hitting if. I'm suspecting it's somewhere here. Let's refresh. Console.log. So it's actually hitting if, but it's not doing. It's not. Oh, it's supposed to be splice. We are splicing. We're not slicing. So just a minute. Now when we try that again, it's actually deleted it from. Now we can delete this, and it's gone. Let's do that again. Let me go back to checkout, to the home page. You can see the balance is 0. The shopping cart is empty. Let's add 3 items. Let's add enough items. Let's add all of them. Then let's go back to checkout. I need to add to make these links work. So when we delete, the balance is changing, this is changing, but the page is not refreshing. So the PlayStation is still there even after we've deleted it. And the Angular book is still there. Now to take care of that, we need to tell the parent component to fetch this. Remember, we're getting this from the parent components. We're actually getting all these items from the checkout page, but we are deleting them from the checkout products component. So we need to kind of notify it notify the parent that there are changes that have been made, and the changes have been made, and it should fetch the new products now again. So once we removed an item here, we need to emit a notification, and to do that we are adding an output. So the parent will actually be listening now to the output. Oh, I press something. Fine. And I want you to import it. So it has, let me check whether output has been imported. It's been imported. Then we're going to call it delete event. Delete event, and it's of a type event emitter. Let's import that, and we're not going to give it any, it's just going to be any new event emitter. So once we've done that, we can now say this dot delete event. So this will emit. You need to pass something. At the moment we are not using what we are passing here, but it's okay, we can just put. Now we need the parent to listen, and the parent is a checkout page. And the checkout page, so we're going to give it, to say, call it delete event. I don't know what I'm pressing for that to happen. Delete event. Just call it delete event handler. Now this is what we need. So I'm going to call a function here that will be called once there's a delete event. I'm going to go this dot get shopping cart. So this will refresh. We'll call this and get set the items to the new what is now new in the shopping cart. So let's save that. No errors. Let's refresh this. We only have 2 items in the shopping cart. And now when we hit delete, it didn't fire. Let me see if it's being called. I call this delete event. Let's see what I called it in the child. What did we call it? It's delete event. Let's see if it's firing. The parent. So is this being called console.log? Programming, you have to console.log a lot. So event handled. I'm getting any errors here. I don't think I have anything now in the shopping cart. Do I? I have one thing. So it's all being handled. Okay. Let's troubleshoot this in a minute. So the problem is this is not being called. So did I name it correctly? Let me check if I named it correctly. Oh yeah, this is a function. We need to give it if it's receiving anything. Okay, let's see now if it's being called. So let's go back to checkout. Delete all this. Yeah, now it's actually deleting everything. So that's how you handle communication from a child component to a parent component. And now the next thing we need to do, probably let's add this, let's make this links. Then we'll go and work on logging in and signing in and everything, and Firebase, and how to host this on Firebase. That will be really fun. So let me make this into links. To do that, we need to go to the header file. Just a minute, let me copy the code. So where's the code? Where's the code for adding links? No, it wasn't the header. It was yeah, it was a header. It was a header. Oh, router link. Yeah. So we want the Amazon logo to go back to home. We want all of this actually. Header menu, even the icon. So to do that in Angular, you just do router link. That will take you to home. The search bar is not working. We are looking for the Amazon logo. Again, let me just copy paste this. All of the ones are going to home. I'll give them that. The signing one should go to login page. Is this the whole thing? Even this. Login. The shopping cart should go to checkout. And yeah, that's it. So let's try our links. So the Amazon logo is taking us to home. They should be taking us to the checkout page. They should take us to login page. It's working. Should take us back to home. So let's end there for now. In the next video, we'll be hosting this on Google's Firebase. We're going to be creating a login page and actually authenticating users. And then after that, that will be the end of the series. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Again, if you've reached this far, I am truly thankful, grateful. And let's see you in the next video. Bye.